Women. What makes a man instantly unattractive to you? How they treat women they find unattractive. As someone who lost 30 pounds and saw a complete 180 in the way a guy treated me, I can honestly say I didn't care when they weren't nice to me. I didn't care that they didn't hold doors open or offer to carry stuff or give me random free crap. The worst, the absolute freaking worst part of being chubby, was how I couldn't have a remotely normal interaction with a guy without him thinking I was into him. It was so freaking frustrating. Like I was never even attracted to any of these guys. I'm pretty picky myself. We'd just be working on a project together or laughing over a shared Frasier obsession, and all of a sudden I could literally see the moment when it occurred to them that I might get the wrong idea. They would suddenly either withdraw or act cold, or they would start spouting off about their girlfriend. It was as humiliating as it was frustrating. Since losing the weight, I've actually had a couple of these guys confirm that they didn't want to lead me on, so they took care not to be too friendly. I just remember wanting to scream, "Dude, I'm not even into you," every gosh darn time it happened. Story 2. Horrible conversation and no interests or hobbies. I had a guy who would ask me literally every day if my day was productive, and if I asked what made his day productive, he never answered. It's like he only had one question to ask, and that was it. No talking about hobbies, children, the community. He didn't know how to ask diverse questions, and he certainly didn't know how to answer them. It lasted about 3 days. More men need to learn how to be likable. Story 3. Poor hygiene. Bad teeth, bad breath, soiled clothing, and pants that look like they haven't been washed in ages. Hair sticking out of ears and noses, dirty fingernails, an unkempt beard, and greasy hair with dandruff. The sight of garments with dirty rims. Ugh, you're not climbing on top of me. And please, for the love of God, learn how to wipe your butts. Only a baby should be spotting a skid mark in their garments. Unless you're coming home hot, sweaty, and a little musty from a hard day at work. Otherwise, I don't mind a little man sweat, which I call clean musk. That's sexy. That's pheromones. If I like you, I'll probably like your natural smell. Otherwise, take a shower. Brush your teeth, change your drawers, wear a nice cologne, and I'll be on you like white on rice. Story 4. Inattentiveness is a major turnoff. One of the most universally attractive things in a man is attentiveness. For example, he's in a shared space with men and women and notices, without it being pointed to him, that dishes are being cleared or the space is being picked up or cleaned. He then quietly steps in and does his part with no prompting or fanfare. Bonus points if he makes the other men participate or calls them out for not helping. So what's instantly unattractive? A man who ignores the labor going on around him but benefits from it. Mansplaining or talking over me or interrupting me. I know Reddit hates the term, but mansplaining is real. Men who step in and try to explain life or life experiences to grown women who know about those situations as well or better than they ever will. They approach it like they're delivering breaking news. Men who say things like, "Be careful, they'll pester you there." In other news, water is wet. Pestering is everywhere. I don't have to be warned. I'm already aware and prepared. Before this conversation, I was pestered 2 different times, or something like that. Spend less time telling women the world is dangerous and spend more time trying to end the danger, starting with yourselves. Then when I'm speaking, let me finish. Don't talk over me like you don't even hear me. Instantly can't stand men who do this. Story 5. I'm not casting stones here, but it's interesting that many of the answers here have an overlapping Venn diagram with guys women date, at least until some of these traits are revealed. I've been married almost 30 years, so I have no skin in the game, but it's really interesting how women are like, "I want a nice, kind, and smart man who takes care of himself," and then they're riding off on a motorcycle with an exciting bad boy and are surprised when he's a schmuck. Seems like the real sweet spot is in the middle of what people say they want and what they actually want. Story 6. Aside from the usual hygiene issues, unfaithfulness, bad manners, sexism, etc., one big turnoff for me is a man who does not seem to care about others. Like, if I'm trying to get to know you and ask questions, listen to your stories and try to engage in your hobbies to make you feel seen, and you don't do the same, okay. Off. And the worst part, this happens so often. I'll go on a date, ask him about himself, and he gets so engrossed in talking about himself that he doesn't give me room for input and doesn't even ask anything about me. Hello? What am I here for? Is this just a means for you to have an ego boost or something? Lol. Story 7. Funny enough, I have a friend who, when he was young, had almost all the unattractive qualities of all the comments in this thread, except the macho, alpha, and arrogant attitude. He was intoxicated on substances all the time, blacking out regularly. He smelled, his room was disgusting, and he had highs of amazing positive energy and lows of terrible bad tempers. He made his conquests jealous, was always in debt, and took no accountability for, let's be frank, all the drama he created. You couldn't rely on him for anything serious. He would triple book events and people or just forget about you. Well, guess what? He also used to be the ultimate intimacy machine in our friend group and slept with half the city. We all loved him, the girls and the boys, and he switched when he felt like it. Going out to party with him was like going to Disneyland. It was unreal, really. I was once at a coffee shop with him, and he received a text from a couple he just met asking to join a triad. He just went casually, like going for tea. Once I was calling him, and something was off. I realized he was getting his thing whistled, but no matter. He still picked up the phone because why not? Nothing special was going on. Another time you met this girl, proposed after 3 months, got engaged, and then a few weeks later had to sneak out of the house with all his stuff while she was on a lunch break because they broke up. Remembering seeing it live feels like a dream you can't totally recall because it seems like it doesn't make sense. He's now married with a second kid and basically never leaves the house. He has a dad bod and lost all his front teeth. He's completely submissive to his wife, who basically excluded most of his old friends. It's like it was written by the Coen brothers. I don't know what you can conclude about this, but every time I read such a thread, I'm like, yeah, BS. I knew a guy who was way worse than that, and you would have totally slept in his dirty, smelly cave he called a bedroom after swearing you would never ever do it. Story 8. When they try to cross the friend zone on their own after I've stated I was only interested in being friends, if you cannot simply be my friend and follow the boundaries of a basic friendship, you cannot eventually grow to be my partner. I find that men don't see much value in women as friends, and the reality is, if you don't see value in a friendship with me, you won't see value in a relationship with me. Any future potential relationship is instantly destroyed when they do that. Story 9. America is in a civil war. This is not safe here. The BBB gives ICE $140 billion. For context, the U.S. Marine Corps has a budget of $50 million. What do you think they're going to buy with all that money? Bullets, bombs, drones, tanks, concentration camps, and jackbooted thugs. They will not stop at immigrants. They want a one-party police state led by their anointed messiah. Trump is at war with the American people, and no one is coming to save you. ICE will come into your city and take and end with a blessing of the MAGA regime. You need to prepare yourself, learn self-defense, train your body, and buy food. You're in a civil war, whether you like it or not. Story 10. When he only talks to attractive girls and completely ignores girls he's not attracted to. To the men replying to this comment, just know I'm rolling my eyes with every comment y'all make and literally have zero incentive to respond. This is a turnoff for me because that guy only sees girls as an object and isn't capable of seeing her past like that. Like a potential friend? Nah, they only want to date women and not be friends with them. Story 11. If a man has any kind of weirdness around dogs, I don't know how to explain exactly what I mean by this because it's a feeling, but he's bad with dogs. The guy is gone to me as a romantic interest instantaneously. The switch flips. Boom. Done. I cannot even remember the most remote flicker of attraction. Some immediate implosions of attraction include he has super obedient dogs and shows them off. He teaches his dogs stupid tricks. He doesn't like dogs. What the actual? Dogs ignore him completely. He's fussy about the dogs or the mess they make. He complains about dogs being dogs. I can't tell when dogs are playing versus fighting. He has a weird energy around dogs. Dogs don't gravitate to him and he seems offended by it. He doesn't care about the dog's comfort. Forgets to give a dog water. Freaking goodbye. God forbid he's a schmuck to a dog. He gives up on a dog. He tries to dominate a freaking dog like Caesar Milan. He can't just accept the dog the way the dog is. He talks too much about the dog's appearance, breed, or purity. Stuff like that. Dog weirdness. Story 12. When their kindness leaves the second they realize you're not going to sleep with them. Referring to women as witches, females, or with other misogynistic language. Supporting any vocal public misogynists, e.g. Tate. Being a devil's advocate because they're only ever trying to advocate for a right-wing ideology, in my experience. Being weird about women's bodies, body hair, periods, anything like that. Being sexist, transphobic, homophobic, or racist. Trying to creepily encourage me to drink more. Not asking any questions. Story 13. Defending blatantly insulting language, using an excuse like, I'm just being honest, instead of pausing for a second to stop and think that maybe the tone and phrasing wasn't just rude, but something akin to bullying. Show me you care about me by criticizing me like an adult. Politely and straightforwardly. You can criticize someone or be honest with them in a polite manner without having to coddle them or sugarcoat things. There's a huge difference between coddling, polite honesty, and straight-up bullying. If you don't know the difference and defend your bad behavior instead of taking accountability, I'm sorry, but a 10 can become a 0 real quick for me. Story 14. A couple of things, actually. If they yell and cuss at their mother regularly, especially if they expect something from them, to me it shows how you treat women in general. Terrible hygiene. If you smell, don't wear deodorant, or have bad breath regularly, I do not want to date you. Extreme differences in views or political views. If it's a little different, that's understandable. We all have different opinions, but if someone is against women's rights, racist, homophobic, and just overall doesn't have an open mind, that also makes me think you're not attractive. Story 15. A lot of things. I'm not going to talk about hygiene because that's an obvious no, but there are many other things, like if he's mean and uneducated, e.g. he talks down to or disrespects others, like the waiters, that's an immediate no. There's no freaking thing to say. For example, if you have to do all the work in the conversation and if I get quiet, he does too. Also, if he has nothing positive to say and keeps venting about everything like a girl in her time of the month. If he doesn't make eye contact and creepily looks at my lips and everywhere else but my eyes. When he doesn't respect boundaries and doesn't read the room or take a hint. He talks badly about people, his friends or his exes. Story 16. Political or social beliefs. Being a Republican or moderate, being pro-life or having no emotional intelligence. Behavioral red flags. Being a felon, being in a cult, using enhancers or hard substances. Drinking too much, not respecting boundaries or not listening to me. Lifestyle or hobbies. Having a fake tan, having a gambling fixation. Being an obsessive gamer, being big into sci-fi or anime, being a hunter, being into crypto or being a guy or weapon nut. Social interactions. Being super meek, being rude to waitstaff or constantly mansplaining. Physical or aesthetic. Having long hair or a man bun, being married or wearing Axe cologne or products. Values and ambition. Being religious, being in the military or having no ambition. Miscellaneous behaviors. Being a bad driver, driving a Tesla, a Hummer, or a minivan, or being cruel to animals. That's just a start, really. I know I left off a bunch. Story 17. From history, controller throwing or keyboard smashing. And weaponized incompetence, but that's self-explanatory. I'm a gamer too. I 100% understand gamer rage. I can even understand yelling at the TV or monitor to an extent. Controllers are way too expensive to be eating across the living room, and I have had it where the target was me and not a wall. Both my ex and my former roommate, who's still one of my best friends, used to do it. I know for a damn fact that they regret it the second it leaves their hands, but they will literally go back, buy another $60 to $120 controller and do it again a week or hell even a day later. Just put it down, go for a walk, go autopilot, clean something, freaking fold a load of laundry in a fit of rage, chill the heck out. Story 18. Being chronically emotionally unregulated. That can manifest as any of the following: passive aggressiveness, defensiveness or anger, invalidating or gaslighting or taking zero accountability, people-pleasing or being a pushover, not willing to exhibit leadership qualities due to fear of other people's opinions, not being kind, especially to pets, kids, the elderly, or people who are handicapped, wanting a mommy or a maid instead of an equal partner. For me personally, being too submissive or groveling, being insecure, it leads to overcompensating somehow, and that's never good. These were all my ex-husband's issues. My husband now is as solid as they come, thank God. The circulating phrase, I can be in my feminine because he's in his masculine, is so true for me. I did everything in my last relationship. Raise kids, grocery shop, disassemble, fix and reassemble the broken dryer, fix everything all the time. The only on-call parent, yep, all of it. He wanted a mom, not a wife. I felt like I was raising an extra child. The emotional roller coaster my ex was exhausting and pitiful, honestly. I'm not that way as a woman, and I don't like men who are. I felt like I was the dude in the relationship. Not for me. Story 19. I can't believe I have to make this a standard, but anything along the lines of racism, homophobia, etc., or hating on any marginalized group. This also includes jokes that aren't directly hate speech, but might be insensitive. I was talking to a guy who sent me a reel on Instagram talking about, this is how all black women look, and it was a photo painting them in a bad light. I immediately got grossed out by him. Not to mention I have friends and family who are black, gay, etc., all things made fun of or acted uncomfortable by. Just makes it funny to me. Unfortunately, those are the things you can get called sensitive for these days, but if that's what I am for showing compassion and love, then so be it. Story 20. Bad body odor is the biggest thing because it makes me think you aren't showering properly, which is gross. Personally, if your butt hangs out, that's the next massively unattractive thing. Wear a belt. It's a matter of dignity and self-awareness. Spitting on the sidewalk is gross. If you absolutely must do it, at least do it in a tissue and throw it away. I don't want to see it, and I sure as crap don't want to step in it. That's just another personal thing, though. There are a lot of things I find unattractive, but one thing I think is really nice: a good attitude, self-awareness, and some level of concern for the people around you, even if it's just a stranger. I can't tell you how many men and women are so glued to their phones in public that they can't or won't do something as simple as hold the door open for someone who has their hands full. It's actually downright pathetic. Story 21. Boasting about fighting or wanting to create conflict with people to prove a nobody's gonna mess with me vibe. Please grow up. You shouldn't be on guard and ready to fight people for no reason. Love with kindness and openness. Lol. Talking over me excessively. Not just because of an ADHD trait or something, because I have that and people can still have ADHD and learn how to balance a conversation with someone. Also, not asking my opinion on things or saying, you know when this happens, blah blah, and I say, I understand, but they continue to over-explain as if I were a brick wall and what I said didn't matter. Lol. Being an angry driver, getting angry when being asked how they feel and not being able to talk about their emotions in a healthy way. Instead, they get defensive or pretend nothing is wrong. Story 22. The minute they become much too content in the relationship, and I don't just mean getting used to the routine, I mean lazy. In the beginning, they're loving, endearing, and actually clearly attracted to you. Until months or years into the relationship, women have to take complete control. Day nights, gifts, cleaning up the house, folding laundry, bills, and even something as simple as quality time. They just let you do everything without input or discussion. Starts to feel more like we're taking care of a grown man-child that wants to suckle on another woman's thumb just because his mother used to do everything for him. Stay attentive. Don't get comfortable with having her do all the work. Put in your effort to keep the relationship working and alive. Without that, your lover has become a maid and a mother to you. Story 23. Going to his house, and he has clearly never been taught how to clean in his life. I'm not talking about a pile of laundry, I'm talking about garbage and stuff everywhere, where it looks like a squatter's house, with no actual furniture, no bed frame or anything like that. The house or apartment smells like cat whiz or whatever else. They don't fix things that are broken, they don't clean up the kitchen, and they leave a mess. You choose to live that way. It's disgusting and absolutely intolerable. Or if their car is completely ransacked, stained, and has garbage or kid stuff everywhere. Having respect and pride in your space is extremely important, shows a lot about how they treat things and, ultimately, people around them. It speaks to the quality of the decisions they make in life. Story 24. Someone who admits he will never take accountability, make his own choices, and accept the consequences. He, a Mormon, admitted that he would only ever vote Republican because that's what his parents and bishop told him, and he'd only ever vote pro-life because that's what he was instructed to do. Despite being given ample evidence of why those policies are failing living people, he's unable or unwilling to accept that the people telling him what to do might be wrong. He was only ever a friend, but I stopped engaging with him after that. Story 25. His mom comes first. Sadly, this has not just happened to me one time. When you're an adult, you love and support your parents, but your partner needs to be a priority. If you're living at home and doing something with your mom every day or week without fail, and that is a priority, you don't make the same effort to create a consistent and special routine with the person you're dating, I'm out. I'm over mama's boys. Nothing about it is endearing to me anymore. I've had too many bad experiences. Story 26. Any kind of, I don't want to talk about my problems because it doesn't do anything type of talk. Right off the bat, I don't even want to be friends with you because you've already made it clear that I'm not going to be able to have a healthy relationship of any kind with you if that's how you think. Also a very specific one, when they always have to relate something to themselves. I distinctly remember this one guy friend I had months ago who thought it would be a compliment to say, I like that you're a devil's advocate. It's useful to have around. Like, what am I? Your freaking servant? Why is a trait of mine only good when it's useful to you? You couldn't have just said, I like that you're not afraid to have differing opinions? There are so many other ways you could have gone about that would have been an actual compliment. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Story 27. Acting like they know everything. I work in STEM, so when a man asks about my work and doesn't work in the same field, the fair assumption is that he knows almost nothing about it. But they will sit there and nod and say things like, oh yeah, I watched a video on that once. I know a decent amount about it. When in reality, they've never even heard of it. I've caught several men in the act, sometimes after they've attempted to argue with me about my own field. I am literally a software engineer transitioning into machine learning and have had men try to lecture me about AI when their furthest understanding of it is sci-fi. I've known lots of people in STEM fields I'm not in, and our conversations are nothing like that. We ask lots of questions about each other's work and send each other articles or videos if interest is that deep. We just have a good time with it. But many heteronormative men don't understand that impressing a woman does not demand you be seen as smarter or wiser than her, but rather that you show genuine curiosity about her life. And that doesn't mean pretending you have that interest just to get another date. Story 28. Bragging a lot, or worse, humble bragging. He can't talk about anything emotional, or even worse, he sees any emotion as an entry to intimate talk. He thinks money, power, or status is his best selling point. He bullies people or tries to manipulate them to serve him. He believes that good looks are a virtue and bad looks are a character flaw. He talks highly of people who serve him and berates people who have rejected him or told him no. He thinks women and men have a place, rather than talking about a preference for attributes he finds appealing. There's more, but these are some red flags that disgust me enough to realize what kind of person I'm dealing with. Story 29. Arrogant men and insecure men. Men who feel like they're entitled to a woman's love and affection. Men who lack emotional resilience. Men who treat relationships as transactions. Men who expect the women in their lives to be their caretaker rather than their partner. Men who feel like they have no active role in child rearing or refer to taking care of their kids as babysitting. Conservative men. Any man who takes anything Joe Rogan has to say seriously. Doomer men who refuse to take responsibility for the flaws in their character and would rather give up and blame everyone else around them than change anything at all. Story 30. Lack of accountability. I had excellent chemistry with a guy. We found each other attractive and he seemed like a gentleman at the outset. When it came to our very first issue, I decided to play neutral and observe his behavior. What I got was denial from start to finish. There was an absolute refusal on his part to take any kind of initiative toward a solution. He was totally intent on disclaiming any responsibility for the situation he caused. When everything resolved and it was made clear that he had accidentally but directly caused harm to me, I got a throwaway sorry after 20 minutes of rambling about it being an accident. Then he made a cheerful assumption that I was going to let this go and continue seeing him, as though my forgiveness was a foregone conclusion. He was stunned when I declined a second date and immediately resorted to personal attacks when I pointed out his denial and lack of accountability. It was so disappointing, but physical attraction and chemistry isn't worth anything when they believe that they can do no wrong. Story 31. When they constantly talk about all the girls they've slept with or constantly talk about intimate things or situations, it's not amusing or making me think, oh, what a catch, or he must be good in bed. It doesn't paint you in any kind of positive light. It makes me think, wow, you're a hoe, or probably someone I don't want to sleep with because of all the girls you've slept with. If you want a girl to like you, just be yourself and please, for the love of God, don't think that bragging about all the chicks you've laid is a turn on at all, because it's not. Not even a little tiny bit. It's actually gross and paints you as someone who can't or shouldn't be trusted when it comes to being intimate with someone. Story 32. Bad hygiene. Dressing like a child and just not taking care of yourself. It's not even about weight, height, or muscle mass. Personally, I think chubby dudes are adorable. I really do. It's whether or not you, number 1, wash your hair, number 2, groom yourself, and number 3, wear well-fitting, coordinated clothes. Mind you can be rail thin and be a slob or a totally jacked up dude who doesn't shower, but for the love of God, you'll go from a 3 to a 6 easily with a grooming routine. Oh, and honestly, if you're balding, just go bald. Also, don't know why so many of you are trying to style up that creepy mustache these days. A lot of men are really trying out the Lovely Bones mustache. Please, grow a beard or shave it off. Story 33. Bad hygiene is very high on the list. A close second, which is personal to me, is when a guy tells me he can't express himself because of fear. To elaborate, I've spoken to guys before who tell me they would dress more alternative, fishnets, heavy boots, nail polish, etc., but they're terrified of being judged. What they may not understand is that even though I'm a girl, I get a lot of judgment too. I've been barked at, had things thrown at me, and people get grabby, etc. I'm not interested in anyone who can't walk that road with me. I've done it before, and what it leads to is my partner trying to tone me down. I'm not doing that again. I've got one life, and I'm not letting strangers control it. Story 34. As an autistic woman, here are some of my deal breakers. Emotional unavailability or a lack of emotional intelligence. Doesn't respect boundaries. Bad hygiene. Codependency. A bad temper. Desperation. Treats women he's not into badly or treats you badly if he's your partner. Doesn't know his limits with alcohol. Uses substances, even if it's as little as grass. Talks about how much money he has early on. Dislikes animals or harms them. Overconfidence or acts condescending. Tries to make you jealous. Argues with women, including regularly posting about men's issues in a post of a woman complaining about misogyny just to speak over her. Doesn't contribute to chores around the house. Makes early intimacy jokes. Uses creepy opening lines, not the actual funny, overly cheesy ones like, "Did it hurt when you fell from heaven?" Those will actually get a chuckle out of me instead. Supports political movements similar to MAGA. I'm European and staunchly leftist. Is arrogant, believes I owe him something after buying me dinner or a movie ticket. So yeah, the list kind of goes on. If you're wondering why my DMs are closed in the first place, this is usually what worms its way into them and pretends to actually act sane for some freaking reason. Story 35. Mama's boy. He was spoiled by his mom growing up, and so he has never lifted a finger for laundry, cooking, cleaning, buying groceries, or other basic adult life skills. His mom and him also have an enmeshed relationship where he's basically a surrogate husband to her. He prioritizes his mom over his future or actual wife. Anytime he and his wife have relationship issues, he goes to his mommy to complain about her, and mommy tries to sabotage his marriage by pulling them apart and being cruel to the wife. Story 36. He treats women he doesn't find attractive like crap. If you can't be kind to the people you don't want to sleep with, you're not a good person. He also just treats people like crap unless he thinks there's something he can get from them. Men who are constantly trying to appear nice. He avoids all confrontation and is more concerned with being the most popular person in the room rather than just treating people with kindness. The sort of guy who will freak out at you in private if you did something that made him look bad. Men like this will never stand up for their partners or their family if it includes any conflict with a wider social group. Condescension. He's ableist and looks down on the poor, sick, disabled, or anyone who is less fortunate or of a lower social standing than themselves. He believes less fortunate people just need to work harder. He treats service workers like crap. He is otherwise obnoxious or inconsiderate of other people. He is an anti-intellectual. You don't have to have a college education, but there are few things as unattractive as men who are proud of their ignorance. Curiosity about the world around you is important. Story 37. Crossing boundaries. I was into this guy, but I was not in a place where I wanted to have dates or anything. I told him this, but every time we spent time together, he'd call it a date, even if we split the bill and nothing physical happened between us. I bought us tickets for a band we both liked, and he kept saying he was excited for our next date. I told him it's not a date so many times. I was instantly repulsed at how pushy he was. I canceled and didn't even go to the concert. Story 38. I can say it's the same for both men and women I'm interested in. Bad hygiene, regardless of other factors, instantly makes someone unattractive. The worst is when someone you're into is stuck in a car with you and you have to endure the stench. For men, specifically being part of the Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson, etc. audience instantly makes them unattractive as both a friend and a romantic interest. Story 39. Body odor. Trust me, those male influencers who tell you to stop wearing deodorant or cologne and that your natural smell or musk is good for attractive women are setting you up for failure. Anything pro-Trump. Being extremely overweight, we're talking 300 pounds or over, patchy facial hair, trying to work with what little hair you have left in your head. Just don't. What's the point? Bad breath at all times. Unkempt fingernails and toenails. Dirty clothing, except for working clothes or gym clothes. Yep, that's it. Am I missing more? Story 40. How have I not seen this yet? A texting dynamic in which he doesn't show interest in you as a person and treats you as a booty call. Like, yeah, I was super into you, but if you say, let's get together on Saturday, and then I get a late night text to join you at the random club you're at, no thank you. It's over for me. On the same note, not opening texts for days. You're sending me the message you don't care about me and I'm not going to chase that energy. While obviously still a bit salty about a recent experience. Story 41. When they compare you to other girls in a way that compliments you while disregarding others of your gender. Your taste in music or film is so eclectic for a girl. I love that you don't care about makeup or fashion. These are the kinds of things you eat up as an insecure teen and feel slightly sick about as you mature. As if women who care about their appearance or, I don't know, like freaking chart music are somehow lesser than someone who reads David Foster Wallace and K-holes to Pink Floyd. Not that I'm against that. Both are fun. Let's just not be toxic about what we presume to be the high-end way of being. Gillian Flynn hit the nail on the head spectacularly with a cool girl bit. Story 42. Their parents are the ones asking me to date them. I had a parent call me a nice girl and suggest I date their son, a teenager, who, beside him, was shaking his head no vehemently. There's also another parent who said the same thing about me. She was caring for their much older son, highlighted the benefits of dating him, and asked, well, more like demanded, for my number while I was in the middle of my work shift. The son stood not far from me, never really speaking to me. He maybe said a single word before his parents started the dating interview. Name and age, which I very vaguely answered, and just kind of looked me over. But it's super awkward having to reject parents, especially if they mean well. I'm flattered they're already in daughter-in-law seeking mode, but if the guy can't ask me himself or even wants to, I won't consider him. In my mind, their parents are the ones asking me out. Maybe it works out for some people, but not me. Story 43. I'm not a woman, however, every single woman I've dated or had any sort of intimate or romantic relationship with has said or shown me that they find the obsession and idea that money allows you to mistreat people is super nasty. Also, women, at least the ones I've been with, have always told me that they find guys who think they have to show off by fighting or being overly arrogant for women to be gross. I've been lucky and had some great girls, but I've noticed this with almost all women. Story 44. If they can't show clear empathy for the environment and creatures around them, I'm out. I don't really care all that much about people, which may be a turnoff for others, and that's fine, but if you can't be nice to the planet and non-humans in any format, I'm out. My boyfriend is a lot like me in the people aspect and is very good about being empathetic to creatures. He does care about the planet and he respects both my boundaries and his own. That's another one. If you don't know how to set and respect boundaries, I don't even want to be around you. Story 45. Having to do all social activities together. I'm guessing this may be a weird one, but I get overstimulated from a lot of socializing and the boyfriend category also counts for socializing. At least I have yet to find one that doesn't. If they aren't okay with having their own friends and activities, they start feeling like their mom or nanny. I'm supportive and will occasionally join in, but I have my own friends and social obligations. Overdoing it is like being so tired I can't tap into any bit of myself that feels sexy. It's a slow boil that just destroys everything fun. Story 46. I saw some of my biggest answers already posted. Hygiene, but another thing that really turns me off is to see what a guy does when I'm prompted. These super small actions, the way a guy stands, if he drops a dish in the sink, if he slams doors, or if he huffs before he talks because he's annoyed. All that to me piecing together what kind of person he is when there isn't any external influence, like trying to impress me. I know that if a guy was into me, he'd try to dress nicely or do something nice to impress me, but in my experience, I've been able to piece together when someone is trying to get me versus when someone is legitimately considerate and naturally looks out for others. Story 47. Being overly dominating or controlling. I had a guy once, I was about to light a cigarette and he blew out the flame, took the lighter from me, and then lit the cigarette for me. I guess some girls are into that, but I'm not one of them. In my book, that's the dumbest crap ever. I'm a grown woman. I can open a door. Sometimes these polite social norms don't bother me, but not being bothered is different from being flattered or turned on. I think it's fine, only if the man seems relaxed and comfortable. If there's any sort of insecurity or sense that he must open the door for me to feel like a real man, huge turnoff. If he hurries to get to the door first to open it for me, that's a huge turnoff. Again, I know not all women feel this way. Surprise, guys. We're actually unique humans and some of us feel differently about some things than others. There's no instruction manual that's going to work for all of us. Story 48. When he immediately announces his height. Maybe it's a side effect of all the vacuous, shallow witches who say things like, if you're under 6'2", don't bother, even though they have literally zero to offer as a person. My man is 6'5", and it in no way cancels out his shortcomings as a person. Is he gorgeous to look at? Sure, but everyone who's seen the two of us together would argue that I'm kind of freaking gorgeous myself. I'm just over 5'7", 130 pounds with a big smile, good teeth, a symmetrical face, blue eyes, freckles, and long dark hair. Like, I freaking pull. But he brings up his height in every argument as though I should be impressed by the thing he did nothing to attain. Story 49. A few things. Interrupts you to explain how you were technically wrong. He continues to interrupt if you don't fully explain every detail, then calls you rude after he interrupted you first. Not everyone thinks about intimacy immediately. Don't push me if I don't want to be touched. Immediate irritation and petty anger the moment you choose to do something for yourself. He interrupts you to tell you that you're being irresponsible and excluding him. There's an instant defeatism and childishness, like an I'll just do things myself attitude if you weren't going to include him. Then he stops listening and stares at Reddit the moment you try to finish your sentence and tells you to leave him alone. You can go to the store and buy food and grass, but you can't take out the trash or put more toilet paper in the bathroom. He waits until you start to clean the house and suddenly wants to clean and talk about all the things you didn't do because you were working all week. I don't care how handsome or pretty you are. No one has patience for rude and childish behavior. Your partner is your equal, not your maid or mother. If you're curious as to why they aren't having relations with you, this is probably why. Story 50. Poor common sense. I dealt with this guy who was just a schmuck, being mean to me and trying to pick fights with me a bunch. He made excuses for some of the most vile acts a man can ever do to a woman and alleged women like being mistreated. He pulled the typical narcissist thing where if anybody but the narcissist has any problems at all, the narcissist will accuse them of some kind of personality flaw for it. I'm not saying all people are perfect, people aren't perfect, but people can also be flawed individuals and be trying hard enough to deal with whatever external challenges they have in life. Trying to undermine their best efforts to overcome these obstacles is just stupid. Then he tried to blame me not liking him on some inane technical error. Well, that was just the toothpick in the crap sandwich of the guy's absolute no way in hell, big giant no thanks from me. Story 51. There was a man who showed up to the first date late. After multiple "I'm 5 minutes away" and the nearby parking lot was full texts, he ended up being 30 minutes late. Then he let it slip that his car was parked a half block from the meeting point. A lie in the first date? Nah. A second man showed up, smelly, in a raggedy shirt with gums swollen from plaque and talked about his near minimum wage job for an hour. Then we went to the batting cage and he got angry at the machine saying, "This is so crappy," because he couldn't hit for like 30 balls. Story 52. Please shower daily and wear cologne. Paying for a date you asked out is normal. Expecting intimacy for spending money is childish and grimy. Women don't or shouldn't expect intimacy when they pay for things. Intimacy isn't an object that has to be obtained. It's a gesture of affection that is earned. Please use a bidet and or shave your jungle. Please change your sheets at least once a week. If your feet stink, do something about it. Brush your freaking teeth and floss. Being chivalrous makes you a grown-up, not a simp. Men who gossip about women or who are passive-aggressive or a joke. Men who refuse to learn basic things like oil changes, tire changes, using power tools, or driving manual, or just women with beards. Also, men who had a normal childhood but claim to be mistreated as a justification for why they haven't done crap with their lives are annoying and still losers. Story 53. Insecurity in his masculinity. A lack of emotional intimacy, regulation, or security. Hates the idea of therapy, especially if he really needs it. Rudeness. Inability to take accountability and apologize. Manipulative and immature behavior. Inability to commit. Poor communication or dishonesty. Poor hygiene. Irresponsibility. Excessive pride or codependency. Mooching. Votes against my or others' as rights. Is racist, sexist, or weird or unsafe around children. Drives recklessly. Worse if there are passengers. Excessive drinking or struggling with addiction and not in the process of recovery. Physically and verbally combative. The bar is in hell for me. Story 54. Hygiene. For those of you who are raising littles, it goes without saying that at some point in your sage tutelage and upbringing of these precious little people, you have to teach them how to clean all of themselves, so they can grow up and not completely make potential romantic partners sick. I think a lot of it is probably left up to common sense, and I feel like that's a mistake. Raise soap and water babies. It's not rocket science. Please, for myself and their future partners, thank you. And while I'm at it, there's an art to doing laundry and cleaning your home, and it's easy. Every single person on this planet who has access to the internet and who pretends to not know how to do it properly is infuriating. It's just gosh darn laziness. I've noticed that all the red pill guys literally never ever talk about cleaning, unless it's a demand that someone else does it for them. That's the you just turn off ever. Instant nope. Well, if you like these stories, here's more. YouTube thinks you're gonna love this. Catch you in that video.